Hi, this is Katie. Welcome back to my channel. This is day 13 of a video every day in May. I'm using the Elphie Selfie Lawn Fawn set, and I'm coloring most of it. You'll see where I use Copics. Most of it with my new Arteza Everblend alcohol markers. And so this is where, aside from my review that I did on these a couple videos back, this is where I show you how I use the chisel tip with these when I have a larger space to color in. So for my lighter color, the cloudy gray, I'm just going to use the bullet nib for the smaller areas because that's easy enough. But then if you just carefully run like kind of the edge or the corner of the chisel tip, you can use that to fill in those big areas, and then you can go back to the bullet nib for kind of blending out the lines and then filling in the smaller areas that you have left. So that's what I'm doing with the bullet nib of the lighter color. And so I still think these are a great starter set of alcohol markers that are more affordable over Copics, obviously. But just trying to kind of learn them and play with them a little bit more and get more comfortable with them, because I want to make sure that I use them. Even though they are cheaper, I did still pay for a whole set. The chisel tip is actually surprisingly easy to use in even little small corners and things like that. And so here I am using a Copic. I didn't want to dig in there to see if there was a super light pink for ears. So I am using RV10 for their ears and then kind of blending around that just to keep the pink in the ear corner. And then I was testing out beforehand the marker combos before I used them. I did plan them out, so that's what all my color sketches are down below. And then I chose brown for my little mouse. And these are the two browns. And I actually, in my review, I said there were only a couple. There is another brown. It is very dark. And it wasn't next to the other browns in the package or in the case. It's kind of near the black on the corner. And I think I sketched that out on the paper. It is very dark, so I went with the two browns that I had played with before. And then I chose two blues for the bird to kind of just color offset our little birthday friends here. And I think these are really easy to blend out. So as a marker itself, I really like them. I think that I obviously have more Copics, or more of a range of Copics in a lot of different colors that can do a better 3 blend and things like that. But with just the set that you get, I tend to stick with the 2 color blends here because it's harder to find 3 in just this set of 60 of the Arteza markers that will blend together, as opposed to a Copic collection that I've been working on for years. So keep that in mind. I believe there are more colors coming from Arteza Everblend, and there are probably more colors than this set. I haven't looked into that. But as a marker, aside from lack of colors to blend with each other, I think they are very good, and I can find enough, 2 color blends, like I said, that blend well for now. But the marker itself is very good, and I'm sure it's very similar to the Copic originals. I think it's Copic Sketch. I don't own any. The square markers with the bullet nibs, it's probably very similar to using those. So then I decided to kind of put some fire in these candles and just put a red dot in there and surround it with neon yellow. There's a couple bright neon type colors in this set as well, and I figured that would work for flames. And when I was coloring those candles in, I was barely touching the paper. I was not pressing down at all. I was just kind of hovering and letting it accept the ink because that was a very, very skinny area. So these have plenty of juice in them too. And then I'm just coloring the little elephant with the same colors as the bigger elephant. I do end up going back with Copics and adding some dots for accents just because I think it looks very cute and adds a lot to the little critters on cards. But I use Copics for that. So sorry, my husband came home while I was doing that. I was probably talking about the dot accents that I'm going to add to these in a little bit. And I don't have the dies, so I do pause while I'm cutting these out because it took me forever. But I do go into my Copic marker stash to find darker colors so that the little dots I do show up. And then I'm just using my RV10 for his ear again. And then blending that in so it looks a little more natural. I still have yet to figure out these little ears on these animals and how to blend the pink into the color that they are, but I'm working on it. So then I cut them out. And then I zoom in and I'm showing you the Copics that I'm using to dot each of the critters and or items. And then I picked one of my favorite Copic purples to highlight on the cake. And for the bird, I actually ended up picking something that was too close to the probably the darker color that I colored him in with the other markers. And so I ended up going with the duck blue BG49 instead so that it would show up better. So that worked out. And then C7 to go with my elephants. These grays kind of seem to be kind of a cool gray to me. I don't know if I could spot the difference if I had to, but this color worked for their little dot highlights. And then I just kind of try and match where I put them on the little elephant and the big elephant. There are some dogs fighting outside my window, so that's fun. And then I picked E29, which is, sorry about that, that was an alarm on my phone. Many interruptions today. So I had E29 as a dark brown on the mouse, and then I have a card base. It's just going to get covered up anyway. It was just a piece of paper that was the right size next to me. I'm going to be using the two pinks in Spiffy Speckles, which is the pink on pink and then the pink on white. So I'm going to cut down the pink on pink splatter base down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then that is going to be the base of the card front. And I'm also cutting the pink on white down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I have to find the edge that I tore it out of the book from first because it has like sticky residue on it from being in the book. So this I just stick done with my tape runner with lots and lots and lots and lots of adhesive because what else would I do? And then I use the spine like always to kind of line it up and just make sure. And it was a little bit longer than the card. That's why I picked it up. I was worried I was off course there, but sometimes I just don't cut my card bases properly or that millimeter just gets you. So I have that down, and then I'm using the reverse stitched scalloped rectangle frames, whatever that said, from Lawn Fawn. And I'm centering that. I think I show you before I run it through, but I'm centering it and then holding it down with a Post-it, my full stick Post-its, which are very handy because they have sticky on the whole back of the Post-it. And then I just run it through. And then I think I'm putting my Big Shot away. And so I want to lift this up off of that. So I'm going to put foam tape along the back. I didn't completely center it, like perfectly center it. So the foam tape, my wide foam tape fit on the one side, but I end up having to trim it down because I don't want it to peek through. So I trimmed a little strip off of it so that I could stick it down there. And then I think I switched over to my my original foam tape, which is not as wide. They're the same height, so it's fine. And then I ended up putting a little sliver in that little gap on the upper portion there from the piece that I trimmed off. Just so it's not, you know, not supported, not supported. And then I'm just trying to center this. I think I end up standing up because I don't want to stick it down wrong. And so then I lay the rest of it. And then I'm going to use the Wish Big sentiment from the stamp set. So I'm just mounting that up. And then I'm going to ink it up with Memento Tuxedo Black ink and actually stamp it off on the scrap of the same pink on pink speckled paper because I want to make sure it's going to stamp well. So I use that as a scrap to test it. So I'm just showing you that that came from that set. And then I'm just kind of placing where I want these guys to go. Originally I had the big elephant holding the balloon, but I end up giving it to the bird, and the mouse wasn't going to fit. But he actually worked out because since I had to hand cut these or fussy cut them, the mouse's tail was a bit of a challenge. But if I put him down on the lower left where the background is white-ish, you can't totally see that I didn't cut out his tail very well because I didn't want to rip it. So he ended up on the white, just kind of looking on to the party. And I didn't want to skip through this part because I wanted you guys to see the steps that I go through if I'm laying something down and going from planning it out to actually, you know, sticking it down. And I'm being very careful with this glue. It's the Tombow Mono Multi glue, and it doesn't dry very quickly like glossy accents. So it does give me some wiggle room to squish them around. But I also am trying to go very light on the glue because I don't want to squish the glue out and have to clean it up. So I put foam tape on the bottom half of the little elephant and then glue on the top so that he can match up to the frame. So his head is going to stick to the frame, but his body's got foam tape. So he's got a little dimension there as well. But then everyone else will be stuck down. I probably could have lifted up like the cake or something as well to give it more dimension. But that's fine. And then I'm just making sure that I put the bird in the right spot because I don't want that balloon to have to go off on the frame. So I gave the bird plenty of room. And then I'm just tweezing the balloon in the very middle so that I can glue up the string and the balloon. And then I actually tucked it under his wings so it looked a little cleaner because my fussy cuts are not that great. Not as good as die cut would look. I need to pick up these dies for these before they go disappearing on me or something. So then I'm going to zoom in and show you my white accents. I probably go a little overboard with these, but oh well. I think they're cute. I didn't quite know what to do on the cake, so I just kind of did a couple weird ones. And I like adding a few dots after the lines sometimes. Like that. And then I'm constantly trying to make sure I'm not smearing any of the ones I've already done with my hand while I'm doing them. So those are the white dots. And then I thought it just needed more, but I didn't want to deal with sequins. So I actually went through my little gem box and I found some pink gems that would kind of go with the dots on the balloon, honestly, is probably the only pink it would match. So I'm putting 2 different sizes all around the card, just kind of randomly scattered. But I think it worked. I think it worked out okay. So that will finish off the card, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another video. Thanks for watching. Bye.